Hey everyone, my guest today is Chiara Aurelia. Chiara currently it's a tongue twister day, you guys. Hey everyone, we'll start again. My guest today is Chiara Aurelia. Chiara currently stars on Broadway in John Proctor is the Villain. And while she was rehearsing for Proctor, she was starring in the off-Broadway hit Dilaria. Fans all over the world know her from Luckiest Girl Alive, Fear Street, Hysteria, and Cruel Summer. She started acting on film and television at a really young age, but she may be making theater history as someone to go from off-Broadway to Broadway in the blink of an eye, having like just stepped down on the streets of New York. I am so lucky to have Chiara this morning on the podcast. Welcome,
Yeah.
friend.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here.
I'm so happy to be here. I was telling you before we started recording that I have a 21-year-old daughter, and this has been the summer of seeing Chiara on stage in plays predominantly inhabited by women and written by women and directed
Yeah,
by women. And it's such
yeah.
an empowering thing to be a part of the audience beholding. I can only imagine what it's been like to be a part of it.
Yeah, it's a dream come true. I mean, I've wanted to do theater for most of my career, and getting the opportunity to do not one but two plays in the span of one summer is pretty insane. So I'm like feeling really grateful, honestly.
And are you equally exhausted? Like if you had to weigh exhausted and
Yeah,
grateful?
I think the excitement just a little bit overrides the exhaust, but both are very much prevalent. It is tiring. I won't lie to you. This is, it's a schedule that I'm not used to. Each show's week is a lot. I've never done
Yeah.
anything like this before. I never did like plays in high school. I had done theater when I was a kid, like when I first started training to be an actor and when I first realized I loved it so much, but I've never done anything professionally in the theater space. So it's something that I'm not used to, but I think we train our whole lives as actors for opportunities like these and to really like sharpen and hone your skills. And you're also learning as you go. And each day it gets a little easier and a little bit different. And it's really exciting. I really love it. It's really fun.
Well, I also just want to say that both of these plays, I mean, obviously every by the very fact that it's theater, they're going to
Yeah.
be it's wordy, right? Like
Yeah.
obviously, but these are two plays that are so language driven. And so the idea that
Yeah.
that for a while you were holding in your head like these two massive, massive
Yeah.
pieces, um, obviously contemporary language and the accents were different though.
Yeah.
So I just want to kind of, if you don't mind us going back in time for a minute, because you just talked about being young and already sort of having this idea about very few people have a dream as a kid that ends up being really what they do as a grown
Yeah.
person. So
Yeah.
can you just talk a little bit about where you grew up and when this sort of idea that like I want to express myself as an actress came
Yeah.
up, like how did that come alive for you? And what was your name when you were a child?
No, my name was Kiara. Kiara's always been my name. I have a longer last name, but Aurelia is my middle name as
What
well.
was your longer last name?
If it's okay, I try to keep my family name a little bit out of things, so I'll only leave Aurelia out there for now. But it is
Okay.
it is like a longer French Belgian name.
Oh, okay.
It's
Okay.
kind of hard to pronounce. So people, I when I was young, they were like, "Well, if you want to act, you probably should use your middle name instead, because no one's going to be able to figure out who you are." Um, but I grew up between LA and New Mexico, and I we moved back and forth a lot when I was a kid. My mom grew up in LA, so we were kind of like going and visiting family and then like living in New Mexico. She wanted me to have like kind of like a more quiet childhood
Hmm.
and life, and really wanted to take me out of the city. Sometimes parents, the things just don't work out the way they plan
She
it.
tried. She tried
Yeah,
so hard. Yeah.
she did. I always knew I wanted to act. I
Huh.
know that people say that and it sounds really silly, but like from the time that I was a kid, all I wanted to do was perform. There was a point, like anything performance I loved, like I danced and I sang and I acted. and I played piano, and like, I was really privileged and I was able to do like all these different things growing up. And my mom is an artist, so she like really believed that that was what she wanted to invest our time and money in, was like being able to express myself and connect to art. I mean, I was really pushy, like I really loved it, but I did it through school and through different like summer programs and other things when I was really young. And there was definitely a point at which I think I was like maybe 7 or 8, and my mom was like, we can't, for many different reasons, but like you can't do all of this. It's like too many different things. I think you really need to like hone in on like what's the most important. And then if we have extra time and money, we can do like the other things too, more on the side. And I was like, acting. Acting is number one. That's what I love. And any opportunity I could to just be on a stage or perform, put on shows at my house, be a part of theater programs, anything in school, like it was just always what I wanted to do. And I watched movies and was like, I'm going to be there one day. And I think it's really interesting that you experience this thing when you start having success in something you've dreamed of, like the milestone kind of keeps moving. You're like, oh, all I want to do is do something. Like if I can
Right.
be in a show on TV and someone can see me walk through the background of a frame, like that's all I want. And then you do that and you're like, okay, well, hold on, now maybe I want to be a guest star, or I want to be a series regular. Wait, now I want to be in a movie. Now I want to do theater. And it's like really beautiful, but it's also hard to like look back and you remember when a time that like everything you're experiencing right now is so out of the realm of possibility for you. I don't think I ever thought I would be on Broadway. I mean, I definitely dreamed that I would, but
Right.
the idea that that was possible, and it's really sweet. There's so many girls that come and see John Proctor and saw Dilaria and are talking to me, and they're asking afterwards, saying like, all I want to do is this when I grow up. Is it possible? And I remember being that age myself and having like very similar conversations and feeling like it was so like unrealistic.
Right. So far away.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I went and saw Hamilton when I was a kid. I was like obsessed with Hamilton. And I remember thinking like, all I want to do is do something like this. And imagining that those actors were talking to me the same way that I'm speaking to girls that are standing outside the stage door for John Proctor now. It's really weird. It's
Well,
really weird and crazy.
I know just from reading about you and kind of watching some stuff before you came on today that you knew Sadie Sink, who originated the role, and
Yeah.
so you had seen John Proctor
Yeah.
as a fan.
Yeah.
Um, and so you know what it's like to be in the audience of that
Oh my
show.
God.
And
Yes. I saw it multiple times. I saw it more than once as a
you
fan
did,
before I
right.
even knew I was going to be a part of it.
So, like, what a compelling thing, right? To kind of know what it feels like to be on this side of the curtain, and now you're
Yeah.
on that side. And so, I mean, I have seen it twice. It is kind of astonishing to be in an audience where the excitement for what's about to happen begins
It's, yeah.
when you're getting your tickets, like,
Yeah.
scanned by the person.
Yeah.
But I also imagine it must have felt like this is very heady. You know the success of this thing. With Delaria, you and Ella Stiller and Chris Burney,
Chris Briney. Yeah.
Chris Burney, who the three of you were such a fantastic group to watch together.
Yeah.
Um, I imagine but that you originated, and there was no like, I
Yeah.
have to stand here or fit a certain mold. It was a
Yeah.
complete Chiara, creation.
Yeah.
Um, what was really astonishing to me, and I'm not just saying this because I'm talking to you, you have so completely held dear the things that are so important about like the kind of tent poles of this play. But
Yeah.
yet I was saying to my daughter, I was like, I would never had known anyone else had done the part before you. You are so extraordinarily kind of seamlessly connected to this cast, all of whom have been doing it for a while. And I was just absolutely blown away by the ways in which I felt little bits of you in both parts and yet learned so much more about your capacity as an artist by seeing you back to back in these very different roles.
Yeah.
And I guess I just want to know, like, aside from like people like, how do you learn all those lines? Like, I don't even know how you learned all those lines, to be
I
honest.
don't either,
I,
honestly.
but like, what was the experience with Danya Tamor, the glorious director, of
Yeah.
stepping into this thing that has so much love and
Yeah.
expectation already built in?
Yeah, I think the experiences between Dilaria and John Proctor were really different.
Yeah.
And they're both beautiful and exceptionally unique. And I love both shows, and both experiences I had were awesome, but they're really, really different. Dilaria was like our little baby. We made it all together every night. Ella's become like a very dear friend of mine, and so has Chris. And it was just fun. It was like playing with your friends, and you didn't really know what was going to come of it and what people were going to think about it, but it was just a lot of fun. And we built that together, and it was a wonderful experience, and I was sad to leave, but
Right.
everything happens for a reason. And now there's Tessa, who's incredible, who's doing it with them, and I went back and saw it this weekend, and it's new and fresh and different and awesome. But switching over to John Proctor was crazy. I mean, I read the play and I auditioned for Ray Lynn in last year.
Oh,
And
that's interesting.
when I auditioned for Ray Lynn, I mean, I don't want to speak for anyone, but I think that they were like, oh, like we wish that it worked, but it doesn't quite work. You're such a Shelby.
Mm.
Um, and I was like, really? And they were like, you are such a Shelby. Like you're a living, breathing Shelby. Because I kind of like ramble and I like talk really fast and I have a lot of energy and like I have some weird like quirks about me that are like very much in line with Shelby. And they're like, no, you are Shelby. And Sadie, who I like grew up with and is amazing. We've like known each other since we were young. We did a movie together.
What movie did you guys do in your
We
early careers?
we did this movie called Fear Street together when we were like 15 or 16 and like
Wow.
immediately bonded. She's the smartest, coolest, funniest. I have like a million good things to say about her. I can use like all all of the description words I can think of. She's great. And she and I talked about it at the time because like obviously we want to work together again. But Amalia, who is, been portraying Raylan, obviously she was out last evening, but she's fantastic and she embodies the role in such a beautiful way. And I don't think I could ever connect to Raylan in the way she does. It's honestly amazing. But at the time she was like, oh, you're such a Shelby. We wish you could play Shelby. I was like, well, Sadie, you're playing Shelby. Like, go have fun, go do your show.
Yeah.
Um, and then when they called, I'd already started rehearsal for Dilaria, and I got a call from my agent, and they didn't even have me audition. They were like, we did she goes, did Sadie tell you she's leaving soon? They need to find someone to replace her. And I was like, oh no, like who are they thinking of? Like it didn't even go through my head. And my agent was like, they're thinking of you. I was like, really? I was in like such a state of shock. I was like, there's no way. And she was like, yeah. And then I remember for like the next 24 hours after that, because I didn't know for sure that they like really wanted me to do it. I just was like, is this even possible? Could I do
Right.
both plays at the same time? There's no way
Right.
it's going to work. And, we have these ideas as actors. It's like nothing that good can happen all at once. That's too much good. It's not
Yeah.
possible. It's not going to work out. I don't want to get my hopes up. The scheduling.
A
Anyways, then
lot of moving
a
pieces. Just
lot
a
of moving
lot to juggle.
pieces.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really hard to make something like that work, but both productions really did their part and were so kind and generous to allow me to do both of these things. And I get a call the next day and they're like, they're offering you the job and they already worked out the schedule.
You're like,
It's really crazy.
that's funny.
Uh,
I thought you just said they're offering me the
in the
job, but
job, yeah, literally.
wait,
I
but what
I
did
just
you say?
like it was such a weird, like my nervous system was just, I was completely frozen. I didn't really know what to say or do. Like I was like, oh, okay. And especially because I'd seen the show before and it was so exciting. I mean, the amount of times I asked my mom and my partner and my friends, I was like, can I do this? And they
Yeah.
were like, yeah. I was like, are you sure? Am I going to do it? Is it going to work? Am I going to make it through? They were like, you are, and it's going to be great. On top of the fact that Sadie is like beloved by her castmates and also the audience. She did a wonderful job with this role. It was Tony nominated. Like, there's so many different things. It's all of the same original cast. Like no one's switching out other than me. So it's like huge shoes to fill.
Yep.
Uh, so obviously I was nervous, and it's a lot of pressure. And there's a lot of people online being like, we don't want anyone playing this role other than Sadie, which like same, but but it is me. So I obviously wanted to be a part of it. Um, and yeah, and I think I just went into sometimes something, there's no choice but to do it. So I did.
Can
I don't know
you
if that makes
talk
any
about that?
sense, but I
It
was like, I
makes
guess I
so
just have to, we got
well.
to do it. It's got to happen. There's no way I'm saying no to this. So we'll
No,
figure it out.
you're not as they sing in Hamilton. You're not, you can't say no to this.
Yeah.
Um, I guess a couple of things. First of all, I loved hearing, and my listeners are just gonna love, like, we need a support system. We need a community. We need people.
Yeah.
It's not like, even though it's us up there, like the idea that you just sort of named all of these beloveds in your life that sort of could reflect back to you the yes even
Yeah.
when there was a part of you, of course, you're like a human being, you're not a robot.
Yeah. No.
Also, just you're already in a play. Like there's
Yeah.
so much going on, and you weren't supposed to
Yeah.
be in any plays. Like
Yeah,
what?
I'd never done a play before, so it was a lot,
Yes.
you know. But
Um,
people do it. I'm just not used to
Of
it.
course, but they don't usually do two. Like the ask of building a new character while you're working on one character, the ask to be
Yeah.
working 24 hours a day for a little while as opposed to
Yeah.
just rehearsing or just performing.
Yeah.
Except in previews where we do rehearse and perform at the same
Yeah,
time,
of
which now you
course.
know about too. I mean,
Yeah.
the relief was probably there are no changes going into the Proctor script. But
Yes.
but what, if you don't mind, and you can pass or answer. This is
Yeah.
not, there's no question that you can't not answer, but I think it would be kind of amazing because from the outside, I think to your point about young people at the stage door having this idea that it's also unattainable or easy for other
Yeah.
people. Is there a way you can talk about like methods that you use in your daily life to handle the anxiety, the
Yeah.
overwhelming feelings of, but what if I can't? Like you can have your mom.
Yeah.
We all need our mom to say you
Yeah.
can, but
Of course.
sometimes even that doesn't
Doesn't
quite
do
work.
it. Yeah.
So what do you draw on, or what rituals or ideas have you found that you're like, you know what I do when I think it's all falling apart?
Yeah.
Is there anything you feel comfortable
There's
sharing?
so much. Yeah, of course. It's not easy. And no one who says that it is telling the truth. It's not. It's hard. And, I think that that's like an issue that we have in modern society today, that like with social media and the way that we're presenting ourselves, in the past, we didn't really talk about what was happening when we weren't working. Like private life was a little more private. But now that we're perpetuating this idea that like private life is perfect and also public life is perfect, and
Right.
it's not for anybody. And everybody is insecure and everybody's dealing with their own issues, and it's hard and it's a lot of work and it's tiring and it's stressful, and you get nervous, like you're going onto a stage to perform in front of 800 people a night. What if they don't like you, and what if you do something wrong, what if you forget a line? Like all of those things are real and happening all of the time, and it's hard and it's complicated, and there's no level of success in which you don't feel that way anymore. I think that's what you realize as things kind of start working out and all these great things are happening. I think everybody's just kind of faking it until they make it and like pushing through, and if you believe that you can do it, and you kind of can. I do think it has a lot to do with your perspective and the way that you look at things. I do have a really good support system. I have a lot of really great people around me that love me and remind me of who I am and what my life is outside of this. I think that's really important. I think it's nice to know that I have people in my life who care about me whether or not I'm on Broadway. And I
Right.
think that that's really important. And to take some of the pressure and some of like the impact out of what you're doing, and realizing that your job is your job and you want to succeed at it. And I'm like very driven and I work really hard. And those are things about my personality that I really like, but that those things aren't in direct connection with like the rest of who I am as a person and my success in my like personal relationships and my personal life. Like all of those things are separate. I do a lot of breathing. I think breathing is really important. I exercise a lot. I think like moving my body really helps me. Living in New York is awesome because you get to walk a lot and you're kind of like releasing some of that tension. Before the shows every night, I do a lot of stretching and like vocal warm up. And obviously, there's, like some dancing in the show. So, you want to keep your body really warm and relaxed. But I also think it's a lot about the way that you're perceiving it and the way you're viewing it. And I truly am a believer that if you think something is possible, then it is. And, not everything works out just because you want it to. That being said, if you think something isn't going to work out, it's definitely not. And I think like truly believing in yourself, which is obviously way easier said than done. Like there were so many years when people told me that I could do something, and it took me a long time to fully know that myself. But the change that I've seen in my own life from like believing that something's possible, it kind of like opens up a whole door and a window to things that you like could have only dreamed of. So I think that all those things are really important, and just remembering to be yourself and have your own experiences and not be like ashamed or afraid that whatever you're feeling is different from what other people are feeling. It's really normal, and your experience should be different than other people's. I think that that's why we're all unique and individual, and no one should judge themselves. And the harder you are on yourself. See, I do ramble. I'm doing the Shelby ramble. This is exactly what I'm talking about.
I feel like I am so lucky right now to be in your company. And like, I
Thank
find that I do this podcast and sort of everything I need gets answered. Like it
you.
happens that I can share it with a gazillion people all over the world, but like
Awesome.
everything you are saying, this reminder of life beyond the work, number one, like
Yeah,
work is just one part of your life, and there are
yeah,
all these other aspects of you
yeah,
that are equally important and that you cherish in the same way.
yeah,
I
totally.
do think that the beautiful part of like you being you is that you happen to have this instinct that to believe in yourself. If you have a choice of not to or to, let's try
Yeah,
to believe. Like, what a
yeah.
beautiful, natural sort of like
Which
our
was
factory default settings can be, we
to
can't
not.
control those,
And
right?
it has a lot to do with how you're raised too. Like I was really lucky. I have a really supportive mom. And my
Mm,
mom always told me that everything was possible. Always, always, always. And that
wow.
completely has changed my life and the way that I view myself. And I think I was lucky. Like it isn't, the default, like as humans, is for some reason to we all are believing all the time that we can't do things. So to
Yeah.
have someone like kind of drilling into my brain that anything is possible all the time, eventually you're like, okay, maybe she's right. I'll just listen.
I
Um,
love that. We all need your mom. We all
and
need,
we all
shout
need
out
to
to your mom.
remind each other. And that's the thing with like the way that we're communicating with each other on the internet, especially. It's like so rare that you see people just being like, yes, like you got this, you can do this. There's like so much more commentary that's on the negative and like pulling each other down because of our own insecurities and our own issues, as opposed to like really cheering each other on. And if you're not going to get that from like the social space, but from friends, from family, depending on what your family situation is, like there's always someone that you can turn to, and just like a reminder to be like championing one another, and that it doesn't actually prohibit your success if someone else is
Right.
successful, and
There's
that like
enough. There's
you know
enough for everybody.
there's enough for everybody, and we
Yeah.
can all just lift each other up. And it always makes me really sad the way that people are communicating with each other today, and I think it creates these problems that then kind of continue through generations. And the history of like the competition that's being created between women, like the fact that there's so much comparison between me and Sadie, I think that that's really unfortunate. We're two completely different people, and I don't think that's something that even needs to be addressed or talked about.
But I'm sure you can feel, like I said, I got to be there last night, and that audience, I hope you could feel it because we were feeling it on our side and generating this. You come out and the trust of like, oh, we are in great hands with this actress. Like it is so immediate that you are Shelby. And from the moment you walk on stage, I mean, by the way, most people coming to this show have no idea what you're talking about. They're not on you know what I
No,
mean?
of
Like it
course.
feels so loud and
Yeah,
populated, but really it's like
yeah,
five people, and there are a gazillion people who just want to see the show that they've heard
yeah, of
about, and they don't
course.
bring anything into it except, I hear this is amazing. I'm going again. Will you come with
Yeah,
me?
yeah,
Um,
I love
and
that.
your playwright and I've interviewed both Danya and Kimberly, and Finna and Gabe on the podcast, all these incredible people. And
Yeah,
this familial, like the way Danya creates a company, and I'm sure you felt this even coming
yeah,
in later, is
yeah, of
one of
course.
the most extraordinary. talent she has as a director. Not
Yeah.
just she's the smartest person on the planet, and you're like, how do you know everything about everything? But
Even though
her,
she definitely does.
no, it's ridiculous. The Tamor genes are like bananas.
They're very strong.
They're very strong, but and so are yours, obviously. And I just feel like what comes through. I was telling someone the way this play is directed, not just the action, but the sort of interstitial moments, the lighting changes, and the kind of private moments that are exposed during those scene shifts. And
Yeah.
that very last moment, which I will not spoil, but when there's sort of two understandings of an event and the
Yeah.
way the coming together is expressed, you've gotten to see the play
Yeah.
design wise, every
Yeah.
element of this show is really chilling in terms of
Yeah.
how beautifully it illustrates what it is to be human. And
Totally.
and I did just want to ask before I let you go, I have a couple of more questions. You are still very young, but you're no longer 16. Um,
Yeah.
can you talk a little bit about what it is to go back in time? Because in Dilaria, it's more two young women around your age coming to New York and
Yeah.
beginning your lives in a very dramatic, over the top way.
Yeah.
Great theater. But this is so compelling because it's a very small story and it's
Yeah.
so fucking real. Like
Yeah.
it's so universal and real. And so
Yeah.
what has it been like sort of time traveling in that way
Yeah.
to that young person?
I think that is part of one of Danya's gifts. Like everyone is placed in there in such a great way.
Yeah.
Maybe we're not all similar to our characters, but there's a very clear connective tissue. And like the casting is just really good. The way everybody's put in between, Danya and Taylor Williams, like they've done a spectacular job on everything they work on, not just this. Um, I think it's interesting. I didn't have quite like a normal high school experience because I started working when I was really young. So it doesn't necessarily feel like I'm quite going back in time, but there are definitely parts of myself in Shelby and in that kind of time in her life that I can really connect to that make it really clear for me to like experience like a part of who I am kind of over and over again every night. But yeah, she's definitely younger than me and there's a certain understanding of the world that shifts and changes as you mature and get older. So it's definitely something different to experience. That being said, it's written so beautifully and these girls are so smart
Yeah.
that it doesn't really feel like we're, like dumbing it down for a younger audience or anything like that, which I think is really
No, it's
great.
such an adult show as
Yeah,
well. I mean, I'm sure you didn't go to high school in the traditional way, but you were on sets filled with adults and sort of navigating being a young person and adults,
yeah,
co-starring with adults. And in looking at your resume, like you've had so many incredible women who have played your
yeah.
mom or adults. Was that a sort of comfort to have those people on sets along the way?
Yeah, totally. I mean, I've worked with like some incredible actors throughout my life and some incredible filmmakers, a lot of women, which is really great. I mean, like the path has been so clearly paved. There are so many greats that have come before me and have really created so much space for women to have these really complex and unique characters, which I think is awesome. But yeah, I've learned a lot from the people that I've worked with. I mean, Kimberly and Danya as well, and especially. Um, I think that, it's such a unique experience getting to work with like these creatives that have such an understanding of our generation and kind of these like really sensitive subject matters. Um, but yeah, I'm really grateful. I think every project I've ever worked on honestly has taught me something different and like led me to where I am today. So yeah.
I'm just curious, you at sort of you're having a glorious film and television career. I mean, I read like a thumbnail sketch of things that you've done. What at this point made you go like, most people don't come to New York in the middle of this like glorious LA career. I'm
Yeah.
like, what was it like? This is the moment where I want to pursue this kind of life, a city experience and theater. Was there sort of an inciting event, or can you talk a little
I
bit about that?
I always wanted to do theater. Like that was always a dream for me. I think that there's also just like a quality and a class and an education that is required to do theater that isn't, it isn't, it exists in film and TV, but like in a completely different way. And I think that I always perceived theater actors with such like integrity and excellence. And even watching them in film and TV, like you can kind of see the technique and the things that they've learned through theater. And it is, it's this repetitive sport and it's a skill and you have to train for it. And I think it's just, I think it makes actors better. That's just my opinion. So it was something,
Did you come to do Dilaria or were you already
no,
here?
I already lived here. I
I
moved here like
see.
a year ago and I
Okay.
wanted to do theater, but I was, coming off of a show and we were kind of trying to figure out what the right next thing would be. But also I've done a lot of film and TV and that's awesome. And I will probably go back and do another something really great right when I'm done with this. And I can't wait for that too. But, it just felt like necessary to kind of take a step back and really like work on the craft. I just really love acting. And this is, the only thing in which you're given the opportunity to act every single day in the same thing over and over. You're interacting with audiences, you're interacting with your fans. I just think there's something really special about it. And this really felt like the right time in my life and my career to do that for like a whole slew of reasons. And also, I've always wanted to live in New York. So,
I am so glad. I just cannot believe, as I said, it's the summer of you and
yeah,
theater.
yeah.
Before I let you go, and I hope you'll come on again
I
with the
will.
next play that you do,
Yes, yes, of
all the
course.
plays. Uh, is there a little known fact that you can share about yourself before we close out this conversation?
A little known fact. What's my little known fact? Um, I box. Like boxing. I love boxing and I
That's
box frequently.
incredible.
I box a couple days a week.
Okay,
Not I don't spar, but
okay.
I haven't been, but I
But
do
you do
love
you box
boxing.
with a coach or are you just hitting the bag?
A little bit of both, but I really love boxing. I grew up boxing. I started boxing when I was like 12 or 13. And it's like it's a great workout and it's really fun and it's like a nice stress reliever as well. There's my other stress reliever. You should try boxing.
This is incredible. I could talk to you for 100 hours, but since you have to do 100 more hours of theater this week, Chiara, thank you so much for
Thank
being
you
on the
so
show.
much.
Thank you for your extraordinary work. What a
Thank
privilege
you
it's been
so
to
much.
watch you.
Thank you. It's so nice to talk to you. Thank you so much.
Have the best day. I will see you
Thank
soon.
you. See you soon.
Bye.
Bye.